Hello everyone. This is an update to a video that I made a while back now on the Kincora boys' home scandal. Now, if you're not too familiar with that story, I've linked to the original video in the description, so feel free to catch up on that one. Now, over the last week or so, there's been some pretty major developments in the story. A man has launched a legal action against various state institutions in Northern Ireland, and amongst that allegation will be that Lord Mountbatten had abused him twice at Kincora in the 1970s. The man's name is Arthur Smith. He's waived his right to anonymity, so we're okay to name him in this video, and he has lodged a writ of summons at the High Court in Belfast, which doesn't actually refer to Mountbatten as such, but his lawyer has made it known that a statement of claim is going to follow, and that is expected to name Mountbatten. Smith is suing the Department of Health, the Secretary of State of Northern Ireland, the Police Service of Northern Ireland, or the RUC as it was then, and also Belfast Health and Social Care Trust and the Business Services Organisation, which I'm not familiar with that, as I haven't lived in Northern Ireland for a few years, but anyway, he's basically suing everybody. And he's seeking damages for assault and battery, negligence, malfeasance in public office, and breach of the statutory duty of care under the Children's Act. Pretty serious allegations here, and his solicitor Kevin Winters has confirmed that there'll be 2 incidents referred to of abuse that involved the now deceased Royal Lord Mountbatten that apparently happened at Kincora when Smith was 11 years old. Smith says that the basis of his lawsuit obviously is the abuse, but also the fact that he had been driven to a number of suicide attempts. So obviously a tragic situation for him since this occurred as a young boy. It's long been rumoured that the 3 people at the centre of the Kincora scandal, the men who worked there who were jailed, who were McGrath, Mains and Semple, were providing boys to some sort of vice ring. There's been allegations not only against Mountbatten, but some other pretty heavy hitters in the British establishment, including Sir Anthony Blunt, who was later unmasked as a Soviet spy, and he was the keeper of the Queen's paintings and art collection, and Sir Samuel Knox Cunningham, who was the former private secretary to former British PM Harold Macmillan. Now, at this point, I'm going to do what you have to do, which is say these allegations are unproven, and these men who are dead are obviously innocent until proven guilty. Nothing's been proven, and these are all allegations at this point which have not been tested in court, so I just want to make that clear. Some people have weighed in on these allegations. For instance, Mountbatten's biographer Andrew Lowney, who wrote the book The Mountbattens, Their Lives and Loves, has also made some allegations that Mountbatten abused some boys inside Classy Bawn, which was the mock baronial castle in Sligo, where he spent a lot of his time and where he was the area where he was assassinated by the IRA. So this is obviously pretty heavy stuff, and we don't know what's going to happen, but you can say for sure that this is the last thing the royals need right now, especially after the whole Prince Andrew debacle, which certainly put them in a bad light, and one would have to wonder if after that this was the trigger for this man Smith to come forward. 5 years ago they had a full public inquiry on this tragic situation at Kincora, and the public inquiry found that the authorities failed at least 39 boys, and they also criticised the RUC inquiries as not being good enough, thorough enough, or not being taken seriously enough. Now, as regards Smith's allegations about some sort of ring that was set up or operating, he says that boys there were introduced to what were called special friends, and this is where the likes of allegedly Mountbatten and Blunt and all these other people were involved in this situation. Smith's now 56 and he lives in Australia, and he's waited a long time to come forward, which of course does not mean that it's not true. It'll be interesting to see. We'll see what evidence comes forward, what comes out in court. The official inquiry into Kincora didn't find evidence of security services, intelligence agencies, or high people in the establishment being involved. But they didn't get access to any of the intelligence files, which are absolutely critical in this story, because they will know exactly what was going on in Kincora. 100% they know who was doing what, when. They were watching everything in Northern Ireland at that time, inside all the paramilitary groups, inside the British establishment. That was their game. They knew everything. Without those files, we're going to have a pretty tough time knowing exactly what went down here and who was responsible for what. The truth is, the three people who were jailed, McGrath, Semple and Mains, the idea that these were the only three people involved and therefore the only people who should have been prosecuted and everything else, to me is absolutely preposterous. There's just no way that these three were the only people involved in these crimes. And the way they went down very quietly and got not particularly harsh sentences also looks a bit fishy as well. And you gotta wonder if, a nod and a wink, they were told, okay, take what's coming to you, cop it, keep quiet about other people, and you won't get the longest sentence. Really, this is going to be a really important exercise in court, because we need to know if anyone else, especially people in positions of high authority, were involved in this. And some people, would say, this is a long time ago, this is the 1970s and 80s, we're letting sleeping dogs lie in Northern Ireland and we're not dredging up the past. Okay, in one sense that's fine, but not for this, because these people are still alive, they've suffered horrendously, and they've without doubt been subjected to horrible crimes that we need to know about, and we need to find out exactly who was involved. So once again, I'll stress, these are allegations which have not been proven in court about Mountbatten, Blunt, or anyone else. But this is going to be a really serious and interesting development in this tragic state of affairs that happened at Kincora all those years ago. And the fact that it's still a live issue and people still want to know what went on just tells you how horrific this whole thing was. Not only the living victims of it, but the people who were driven to suicide. And there's no adequate compensation that can compensate people for what they went through. They got £100,000 or whatever it was. Not even close. And I think for many of the people who are still alive, the surviving victims, they want to be vindicated in some of these allegations that they've made. And let's hope they are vindicated and the truth will come out, whatever that may be, whether it absolves people like Mountbatten or Blunt, then they'll be absolved. But we really need to know. So that's basically all I wanted to say on this video. Thanks for watching.